Hello, everybody. If you're listening in, I am Michael Ray, CEO of Notary2Pro, and I'm joined by our distinguished faculty, Andrea Dooling. Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
And Stephanie Rowland.
Hello.
And Sabrina Engelstad, who is not on camera today. She's recovering from surgery and would rather not be visible. We all understand that, Sabrina. I think she's also muted. In any case, okay, Sabrina, I think you're muted. But you guys, welcome. We're excited to have this next in our continuing series of roundtables. The goal of these roundtables are always the same: 30 minutes of highly impactful information and conversation that are designed to grow your business, expand your skills, or just make work and life a little better. And so today's topic, we're going to be talking about common questions asked during a loan closing. And we're going to talk a little bit about our survey results. And we have done a number of these surveys. This one was really designed to test your notary skills. And we'll make that survey continuously available, but we'll talk a little bit about the results. So I'm Michael Ray. Lori Glockner, my sister, has had some difficulty logging in today. It seems like all the technical issues hit in one day. So sorry, folks, about that. Hopefully Lori will be joining us shortly. Andrea Dooling, Stephanie Rowland are faculty. So Sabrina, are you able to speak now, or are you still having some technical issues?
Yeah, sure. Are you able to share the PowerPoint?
Oh, I'm sorry. Here I am. I'm going through the PowerPoint and not sharing it with everybody. So so sorry. Here, let me share that. There we go.
Yeah, and so you'll see on once he pulls up the PowerPoint, we went in and included the questions from the survey that people struggled with. So if we had 100% on the questions, we didn't include them because everyone probably knows what they're doing. So yeah, we'll just scroll down a little. We kind of went through this.
Yeah, we went through this. Sorry, everybody didn't have this on the screen. So here we go.
So this was the first one. I thought this was pretty daunting because the first question was, have you ever been told that a notary or a loan signing agent should not answer a question during a loan signing? And I thought it was pretty significant that close to 40% of people have been told that they're not to answer questions. So you guys can speak to that. I'm sure you've heard this myth before.
I have, unfortunately.
Well, Sabrina, as I'm reading this, it says yes, 60%. So
oh yeah, sorry, the opposite.
Yeah, so only 40% have not been told that, which is even more scary.
Yeah,
right?
even more daunting.
Very scary.
Yes. Yeah, certainly. Can you guys comment on that? That's kind of weird, isn't it? That you've been told not to answer questions.
What kind of training have they taken?
Yeah,
That's
that
all
would
I
be
can say.
one question. I know there are certain questions, and we'll get into that you should not answer, right?
Yeah.
Or should defer to other people.
That's accurate, but you should be able to answer questions that are plainly on the documents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have definitely picked up business because notaries around here have not answered certain questions. And I remember being told at one of my loan closings, she complimented me and said that I was very nice and I was able to answer her questions. And she told me that the other notary that stopped by the day before refused to answer questions, and thus she refused to sign the documents. And so it was a plus for me, but I really felt bad for that notary that he or she was giving out she wasn't providing her best customer service. She wasn't assisting the signer in answering the questions that were clearly outlined in the documents.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of surprising, actually. And Stephanie, you ever encountered that kind of feedback, or?
No, not really.
I kind of see it as our job, right, to answer questions. Not all of them. Maybe not. Let me rephrase. every question has an answer. We may not be authorized to give certain types of information, right? But you have to answer.
Yeah, you can answer the what and the where, but not the why and the how.
Very good.
Mhm.
And that was one of our other questions that some people missed. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's circle back. All right. Can a notary execute 2 acknowledgements for 1 document per signer? I'm not quite clear on the question. What does that mean for our audience and for me?
Okay, can a notary execute 2 acknowledgements for 1 document? Well, I've never seen a document that required 2 acknowledgements for the same signer. I've
No.
certainly seen it for 2 acknowledgements, but if you read the language in there, it will state for Michael Ray and for Susan Sample. But for the same signer, I've never experienced that one.
No, I haven't either.
Okay, great. Sabrina, where were we going with that question?
It was just one that you guys, Lori thought was
Oh.
important.
Oh,
You
okay.
wanted to specify that you cannot, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. One acknowledgement per signer. Per
Mhm.
document. Okay, great. Okay, here we go. This is kind of the meat and potatoes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which are you not legally able to answer during a loan client signing?
Let's see.
Can you answer
You can-
what does my APR mean?
You can tell them what APR means, but not what their APR means.
Mhm.
What does that mean, Stephanie?
The annual
Annual per-
percentage rate.
Percentage rate.
Mhm.
So that's different than your general
Mhm,
percentage rate. It's the yearly amount that they pay.
mhm.
Yeah. And I had a comment on this one. So earlier in the survey, I didn't include that question, but when I asked people specifically, if you've ever answered a question that you weren't supposed to, what was it? And a lot of people said that they gave their opinion on someone's interest rate and they ended
Ah.
up getting a
That's
little
not
bit in
good.
trouble for that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we
So
don't want
anytime
to.
is asking for your opinion on
Yeah. you
any
can't
of
answer
that, or
that.
am I paying too much in closing fees or anything like that? That's your opinion on it, and you should not give it.
Yeah. Is this loan too expensive? Is it
Yeah.
competitive? What do you think of Bank of America or whatever? Yeah,
Got it.
not good questions to answer. What about, what was this third question, Sabrina? And we got the summary. It was how much money was taken, looks like out of what?
It might have been my last, I don't remember. I wish it didn't
Oh, okay.
put them out like that.
I think it was how much money was taken out for my taxes or something like that.
Yeah,
or
something like that.
Yeah, escrow costs.
Is it okay to identify that on the document? What do you guys think?
Yes, you can show that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's right there on the document, right? You're
Mhm.
Right there on the
point to it.
document.
So it's fair to explain the documents,
Right.
right?
That's
Okay.
our job.
That's her job, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
But I would say a brief explanation,
Very,
Yeah.
very brief.
Mhm.
not go into great detail, but a brief explanation, yes.
Mhm. So is
So-
it like you're in court and being interrogated, short answers are better?
Yeah.
Or is it really just you're trying to avoid spending all day doing the signing?
Oh, that too.
Yeah, that too.
I can be honest.
So
I
I
had
always,
someone tell me that back in the day, the notary was paid by the hour. And so they would read it word for word. Well,
Okay.
no, we're not paid by the hour any longer. And I certainly don't want to read an 18-page deed of trust. So
no,
Mhm. Yeah, mostly because the signer would be asleep by the time you get to the end of the document, right? Okay.
so I have a tip for everybody. So when I begin my closing, I always tell them what the process is going to be like. I tell them what my role is, and that If they have any questions, they're free to ask. However, I am not legally able to answer any questions regarding your loan terms or anything to do with your loan terms. That's illegal for me to do so. So no one asks me those questions because I've already put that out there at the beginning of the closing.
Mm-hmm.
And in my confirmation call, I do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
of
definitely
the
go
time.
over that in my confirmation call.
Mhm.
And because of that, I am asked very little questions.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When you are presenting the documents for signature, are you highlighting certain elements?
Well, okay, so like when let's say if the signature affidavit comes up, I will explain, this is the document for which I put you under oath for, you
Mhm.
know, that kind of thing. But no, I think giving a very brief description is all you need to do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
one or two
If you
sentences.
go on and on and on, you're gonna lose their attention.
Mhm.
And
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay. Sabrina,
And
I
then
don't know if, oh, go ahead.
The other thing that I like to do is that the very first document that I show is the closing disclosure. And that to me is what I've always said is like the meat and potatoes of the entire loan.
Mhm.
And so if I go over that and it's going
Mhm.
over their closing costs, it's going over how
Mhm.
much their monthly mortgage is and all. Once I go over that, that really, for the most part, answers a good
Mhm.
90% of any questions they had.
mhm.
So that really helps the flow of the whole signing. Once I get that one document out of the way, it goes pretty smoothly.
Because you're going through all those questions up front, they're clear, what the, you know, and people have a responsibility to look over these documents
Yes.
and understand what they're signing. We're
Mhm.
there as sort of just a guide, right, to what they're signing.
So that's another thing I do in my confirmation is that I explain to them that it's very important for them before the signing appointment to look over their closing disclosure very carefully to make sure all their loan terms are correct, that the spelling of their name is correct, their property address is correct, because if any of those things are wrong, especially on the deed of trust, if the name is spelled wrong,
Mhm.
we can't close. So there again, I state certain things in my confirmation that keeps my closing going very smoothly.
No surprises at the
No
sign.
surprises.
Mhm.
Right, you're kind of setting the tone.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Hey, Sabrina, I think you're keeping track of the Q&A and chat for us if there's something that comes up.
Yeah, I'm
So
kind of
someone was
looking
just
too.
commenting on the what and the why that we talked
Mhm.
about.
Okay. Yeah, what does that mean? The what and the why?
So you could actually go to the next question.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. So the question was, notaries and loan signing agents can explain the why and the how on documents, but not the where and the when on the documents. And that's actually the opposite. So everyone who chose false was right, but there were a few who chose true.
Mhm. We tricked them.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did trick them. Explain what that means though, guys. What when we talk about you can explain the where and the when. What are you talking about there?
So for
So the
example,
where is where the
Go ahead.
answer is on the document, right, Andrea?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said the where is where you would find the answer to their question on the documents, like if they're asking anything about their interest rate, you'd look at the closing disclosure and show them.
Yes, and then the where could also be, where am I sending my monthly payment? And then
Right.
that is there on one of the documents as well.
Mhm.
The why is really getting into the nitty-gritty of why my interest rate is so high, why I have only this amount of lenders credits, why those are questions only your loan officer or someone that's
Mhm.
sitting on the opposite side of the table would have answers
Mhm.
to. Whereas what's physically in the papers that we can see
Yeah.
right now is what we can look at and say, this is where, how much your payment is, how much is coming out for taxes. So that's the what. We
Mhm.
can't answer the why or the how.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Good guidelines.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay. All
I
right.
can read off they're a little bit cut off and I have the long versions here.
Yeah, would you mind? Thank
Yeah,
you,
so it
Sabrina.
says, when you come to the Allonge agreement, so the first one that some people got incorrect was explain that the Allonge, I hope I'm saying that right, is when
Allonge.
one lender transfers the loan to another lender and then they have them sign it. The second one that no one selected was explain that the Allonge is when one lender transfers their loan to another lender, have them sign it and notarize it. And the third option was do nothing and flip it over, and that was the correct.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We
Yes,
do
I
nothing with the
nothing.
Allonge document.
No,
That's correct. Flip it over and keep on moving.
All right. We like those, right?
yeah, we do.
All right. It's like too bad we don't get paid by the page. That'd be
Oh,
Oh,
that would
yeah.
have been nice.
nice.
Well, not all the time, though.
Not all the time.
If
Okay.
it's an 18-page thing, no.
Oh,
So
okay.
then moving on. So these questions here were basically acting as if the borrower was asking you these questions directly. And then how do you answer these? So it was, is my interest rate comparable to other rates that you've seen lately? So the options that were given were, yes, it is above average right now based on what I've seen. No, I would actually say it's pretty high compared to what I've been seeing. The third option was, I'm sorry, I can't comment on that. Please contact your loan officer or originator for more information on your interest rates. And the last, you've received a very good rate. So some people missed this one, but obviously we cannot comment on that because once again, they're asking for your opinion. And that's not what you guys are there to do, so.
It's pretty unnerving that people are getting this question wrong.
Well, Stephanie, I think we've tricked them again. A very small
You have?
percentage, but we managed to trick them. Sabrina is very tricky with her question. So, I would say that if you did get that question wrong, if we've had people who've taken that survey, or if any of these questions are particularly challenging, this is not a place to advertise Notary2Pro, but look for some training that will help guide you in this.
Yeah.
Because it's really important.
Mhm.
Guys, what are the worries if you answer questions you're not supposed to? What's the most common
Unauthorized
concern?
practice of law.
Okay.
Losing business.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Being blacklisted by companies.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Depending on how deep this goes, sitting in somebody's courtroom, having to answer questions as far as why you said what you said.
Yeah. So it's severe, but even if it's not the most severe risk, it will cost you business.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
You could.
You're
Or
going to
even a
alienate
claim.
people.
A claim against your E&O insurance?
Yep.
Yeah. Nobody wants that.
No.
Mm-mm.
Nobody wants that. So it's really important if you're challenged with these questions to make sure that you're seeking the right training. I personally obviously recommend Notary2Pro, but you know, whatever works for you. That's the goal here. So here's a good one. When will I receive my check?
Yeah, and so the options were, you will receive your check on the disbursement date listed on the closing disclosure. You will receive your check the day after the disbursement date. You will receive your check within 2 weeks, or you will need to contact your loan officer originator to determine when you receive your check. And the last one was the
Mhm.
correct answer.
Yeah. Why is that the correct answer? Why not just give them the date that's on the document?
Because you don't know what the true day is going to be. It depends on other factors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So they
I
need
tell
to
them, I tell
to
them
contact
quickly,
their
I
loan
work with
officer.
so many different companies that each company does something slightly different. There are a
Mhm.
bunch of companies that will disperse the check the day after the disbursement date. However, there are a bunch of them that they're backlogged or their process is to do it on the 15th or whatever the case may be. So each
Mhm.
company does something different. And I'd hate to tell them the wrong answer to that question.
Yeah, for sure. This one is particularly sensitive.
Mhm.
Mhm.
If you promise someone a check on Wednesday and it still hasn't got there by end of day, it will irritate any of us, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
So
Mhm.
this is one to be careful on. Okay, let's continue. Okay, well, we kind of dealt with this one. Can you explain why my annual interest rate is higher than my interest rate? Well, no, that's a different question than what we went over, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
And so, oh, go ahead.
yeah. So what's the right answer on this one?
So I show them, what's that? Is it the second page to the closing disclosure? No. I
It's
think
the
it's the
last page.
Yeah, it's the last page, and I
Mhm.
show them where it talks about all of the interest that's associated for the entire 30 years or 15 years or what have you.
Mhm.
And then that will help them better understand why it's higher.
Mhm.
So you can explain to them why the rate is higher, maybe not why it is what it is, but you can explain to them why it's higher. So the last option was the APR reflects the interest rate, any points, mortgage broker fees, and other charges that you pay to get the loan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was another tricky question, Sabrina. Kudos to you for coming up with these tough questions. We should make you proctor for all of our Notary2Pro exams. So because this is a theoretical question, right? Why is the APR higher than the interest rate? It's okay to answer that. What's your opinion, Stephanie, Andrea?
Well, you can't be specific about why their interest rate is higher, but you can show
Mhm.
them on the closing disclosure.
As in-
On the last page, it explains what the APR is. So I
Mhm.
point them to that. And I just explain that it entails other costs like, you know, your interest, not your interest rate, escrow costs and tax
Mhm.
operations and that kind of thing.
Yeah. There is never a case where the APR would be lower than your interest rate.
No.
Never.
Never seen that.
No, could never see that. So I guess it's okay to answer that tricky question. But good. So Sabrina, what's your assessment of all these folks and the tests that we've taken? How are our graduates doing? Well, we
Pretty
don't
good.
know, huh?
I think overall they did pretty good. There was several other questions that I didn't include because everyone got them correct. It was all 100%. And so
Great.
I'm hoping that the rest of the demographic who would take this would also get them right for the
Okay.
most part.
In the few
sorry?
minutes we have left, have there been any questions that have come up in the Q&A or the chat?
No.
No, it's just been one of our attendees answering before I give the answer. They're trying to like take the quiz as we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they've just been quizzing themselves. But I did get really good feedback on this. People were excited to be challenged and get back to that basic knowledge. And clearly it was a good exercise because a lot of people missed those questions. So it's a
Good.
good refresher.
So Sabrina, we're going to leave this quiz out there on the website for a while.
Definitely. I'll put this up for sure.
And maybe put the link in the chat. So if
Yes.
you're online and you didn't get a chance to take it, walk through this list or send your friends over. If they think they're smarty pants and they need to be humbled a little bit, you can send your friends over.
Yeah.
So good job.
And the replay of this will also be available so everyone can kind of get like your guys' background and information on why the answers are wrong or right or whatever.
Perfect.
And they'll also be listed underneath when the recap is posted.
Yeah. And Stephanie and Andrea, you were instrumental in preparing these questions. And so I think these were the key ones for you. But are there other areas that you would speak to notaries in general that are just areas where you've got to be very sensitive or careful in terms of answering questions? Is there something you'd like to highlight?
Maybe the taxes. I always, sometimes the document that talks about how much is coming out for escrow, regardless of whether it needs to be signed or not, I always get the signer to review that document to ensure that enough money is coming out for escrow. Because I've had a few situations where there wasn't, and we had to adjourn the closing because something was amiss and had to come back to the table once they had the escrow properly determined.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. And Stephanie, how about you? Anything jump out?
No, not right now.
Okay, all right. And when let me ask one other question. As you're sitting there and you're looking at documents, I'm assuming you go through these documents before you show up. You don't just print them and put them in a bag and off you go.
Well, sometimes you have to print and run.
Okay.
A lot of times you have to
A lot
print
of
and
times,
run.
really? Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right, so that answers my question before we get started, but I was going to say, is there anything that you review carefully before you even get to the signing? I know you talked about your prep, Stephanie, and your the call you do in advance. What did you call that call?
My confirmation call.
confirmation call,
Mhm.
right? But is there anything you pick out before you get there of things that you want to make sure you're familiar with? And maybe proactively be able to either avoid or answer questions.
So another thing I ask them to do is have their banking information ready at the table available, so they don't have to go looking for it while we're at the signing, because I always make sure that they, like, there's some companies that, you know, like, they'll have a document that says, how would you like to receive your money? And if it's a
Mhm.
wire transfer, then I make sure that they check their account and their routing numbers to make sure they're
Right.
correct, because I have seen that be wrong before, and you don't want the money to go to some other bank account.
Right.
So in my confirmation call, text or email, it's very, very clear what is going to happen. Like whether I do a paper closing, a hybrid closing, a RON closing, it's very detailed. So they're always prepared. And I mean, they always tell me, man, your confirmation is so detailed. We came prepared. And I think they feel that, like, I really know what I'm doing because I'm so specific in my confirmation.
Great. Thank you for that advice. Andrea, any closing words? Any thoughts?
The one thing that I look for is I look at the names to make sure it's accurate, but I also look at the dates, because I don't want, for
Mhm.
example, the date on the closing disclosure and the right to cancel. I don't want those dates to be wrong by any means.
Right.
So if they are, then I know that's a red flag, and we may not be having the closing at all.
Mhm.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. And Sabrina, before we go, do we have a thank you both, by the way, Andrea, Stephanie, always wonderful to hear your experience and your perspective. Sabrina, do we have a topic picked for our next roundtable that we can
Yes.
announce, or is that pending?
I believe we're focusing on professionalism in notary. Lori thought this was a very important topic for
Okay.
getting jobs, maintaining clients, so forth. So yeah, professionalism in notary and loan signing.
Great.
Okay.
And hopefully she'll be able to join us next time. I think she had just some real technical issues this time.
Yeah, no worries. We'll get that all settled and squared away.
Yeah, she's away from home. So sometimes a connection problem. So thank you guys. Thank all our audience. We appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again in a month. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello, I'm Michael Ray, CEO of Notary2Pro. Thanks for joining us for this webinar. Be sure to see our website, Notary2Pro.com, for more information and resources. Also, don't forget to sign up with us there for great additional updates, news, and tools. Notary2Pro is the most respected professional signing agent course in the United States. Founded by Carol Ray in 2009, Notary2Pro has trained more than 10,000 notaries to become professional signing agents. Our graduates are preferred by more signing agencies because only Notary2Pro enables notaries to practice error-free signings. Thanks again, and see you next time.